Maya's hands wouldn't stop shaking. Commander Rivas noticed immediately. In 3 tours across the frontier colonies, he'd learned to read his crew like star charts. Every tremor, every avoided glance told a story. Maya sat in the galley of the horizon's edge, cradling a cup of synthetic coffee that had gone cold an hour ago. "Permission to speak freely?" Rivas asked, sliding into the seat across from her. "I'm fine, sir." The words came out too quick, too rehearsed. Rivas studied her face. The medical report had been clinical: dislocated shoulder, deep tissue bruising along her back and neck, minor cranial trauma. Dr. Yoon had flagged it as inconsistent with the equipment malfunction Maya claimed caused her injuries during the depot run on Couch's Prime. "Maya." "It was my fault," she interrupted, still not meeting his eyes. "I wasn't paying attention. The cargo loader shifted and I should have been more careful." Rivas had been commanding crews for 15 years. He knew a lie when he heard one. More importantly, he knew when to stop pushing. "Get some rest, Corporal. That's an order." She nodded and fled. Rivas found Sergeant Torres and Specialists Kim and Bashir in the cargo bay, running an inventory that didn't need running. They stopped when he entered. "She told you it was an accident," Torres said. "It wasn't a question." "Yes." "It wasn't." Torres pulled up a data pad, swiping through files until she found what she wanted. Kim pulled the security feeds from the depot. "Watch." The footage was poor quality. Couch's Prime was a third-rate trading outpost that barely maintained life support, much less decent surveillance. But it was enough. Maya entering a storage annex. A Drexlin merchant built like a tank with chitinous plating and 4 limbs designed for hauling freight blocking her exit. Words exchanged. The Drexlin's upper arms shooting out, grabbing Maya by the throat, slamming her against a support beam once, twice, 3 times before dropping her like trash. Rivas felt something cold settle in his chest. "Name?" "Vekthar," Bashir said quietly. "Local shipping magnate. Apparently Maya questioned a discrepancy in our supply manifest. We were short 3 crates of medical supplies. He took offense." "She reported it to depot security," Kim added. "They told her to file a formal complaint with the Trade Council, said it would take 6 to 8 months to process. She gave up." Torres crossed her arms. "He's still there, Commander, still doing business like nothing happened." Rivas looked at each of them in turn. And we're not asking for permission," Torres said. "We're telling you what's going to happen. We're going back to Couch's Prime. We're going to handle this." "Handle it how?" The 3 of them exchanged glances. Kim spoke up, carefully, legally even, but definitively. Rivas should have shut it down. Should have reminded them about regulations, about diplomatic incidents, about keeping their heads down and following proper channels. Instead, he found himself asking, "What do you need from me?" Torres smiled grimly. A blind eye in 24 hours. Couch's Prime's trade district smelled like recycled air and desperation. Vekthar's operation occupied a prime corner of the main bazaar, 3 massive warehouses, and a fleet of cargo haulers that dominated local shipping. Torres, Kim, and Bashir spent their first 6 hours just watching. They noted the security patrols, the automated defenses, the flow of workers and clients. Vekthar himself appeared around midday, barking orders in his guttural native language, shoving aside anyone who moved too slowly. "Charming guy," Bashir muttered from their observation post. "Notice the manifests," Kim said, zooming in with his scanner. "Half his shipments aren't logged with customs. He's running contraband." Tor's eyes lit up. "Get me everything. Every unlicensed shipment, every bribed official, every safety violation. We're not going to touch him. We're going to let the system do it." "The system didn't help Maya," Bashir pointed out. "Because she tried to report one incident through the wrong channels," Torres replied. "We're going to give them so much evidence they can't ignore it." Over the next 16 hours, they became ghosts. Kim sliced into Vekthar's network, pulling transaction records that showed a pattern of smuggling, tax evasion, and worker exploitation. Bashir cultivated contacts among the depot's labor crews. Turns out, Vekthar had a reputation for treating employees like expendable cargo. Tors compiled it all into an airtight case file. But they weren't done. "The Trade Council won't move fast enough," Kim said. "We need immediate consequences." Tors nodded. "Then we give him a reason to run. Bashir, can you access the customs enforcement database?" "Already in. What am I looking for?" "Flag his business for a surprise inspection. Full audit, effective immediately. And leak the manifests to his competitors. Let them know he's been undercutting prices with illegal goods." "That'll tank his reputation," Kim said appreciatively. "Not finished yet." Tors pulled up a communication channel. "I'm sending an anonymous tip to the Interstellar Commerce Authority. They take smuggling seriously, especially when it involves medical supplies being diverted from Alliance personnel." Within 4 hours, the dominoes began to fall. Customs enforcement descended on Vekthar's warehouses. The ICA issued a freeze on all his accounts pending investigation. His competitors, armed with knowledge of his illegal operations, began filing formal complaints and pulling their business. His workers, sensing opportunity, walked off the job en masse. By the time Vekthar realized what was happening, his empire was collapsing. The crew watched from a cantina across the plaza as enforcement officers led the Drexlin away in restraints, his warehouses sealed behind him. He was shouting, thrashing against the officers, but it was over. "Carefully," Bashir said, raising his glass. "Legally, definitively." They clinked glasses. Back on the horizon's edge, Maya found them in the observation lounge. She'd heard through the ship's gossip network what had transpired on Couch's Prime. The official story was that an anonymous whistleblower had exposed a major smuggling ring. The unofficial story was harder to miss. "You didn't have to do that," she said quietly. Tors looked at her steadily. "Yeah, we did." "He's facing 20 years detention," Kim added. "Turns out assaulting Alliance personnel is just one item on a very long list of crimes." "But why? I told everyone I was fine. I didn't want." "You whispered you were fine," Rivas said, stepping into the lounge. "But we're your crew, your family, and family doesn't let someone suffer in silence." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "I was afraid. Afraid no one would believe me, afraid of making it worse, afraid of being weak." "You're not weak," Bashir interrupted gently. "You survived. That takes strength. Reporting takes strength. And accepting help, that takes the most strength of all." "We're persistence hunters," Tors said with a slight smile. "Someone hurts one of ours, we don't let it go. We track. We adapt. We ensure justice is served one way or another." Maya wiped her eyes and nodded. Outside the viewport, stars stretched into infinity, an endless frontier filled with danger and wonder. But inside this ship, surrounded by her crew, she finally felt safe enough to stop pretending she was fine. Because sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is let others fight for you.